Welcome to the Emptive podcast, where we chat about cloud-based solutions that make selling your e-commerce products easier, more profitable, and effective. Today, we're talking about how to turn your out-of-stock inventory into a profit-generating tool. And to do that, we've got our e-commerce experts from the Emptive team. First up is David Waterman. He has nearly 25 years of e-commerce experience developing shopping and shipping solutions, and he's the head of sales and partnerships at Emptive. Next up is Nicole Capozzi. For the last decade, she has managed the design, development, and deployment of major e-commerce selling platforms, and she handles all things customer experience at Emptive. And finally, I'm John Carmine, and I've been in the development space for the last 13 years, and I'm lead product manager at Emptive. So basically, it comes down to, your customer wants to buy a product, but they can't because you don't have any inventory. And there are all these different reasons as to why you don't have the inventory, the supply chain, blaming. Everybody wants to point their finger as to why. But it really doesn't matter at the end of the day because your customers want to buy it. And if you don't have it, they'll gladly go somewhere else to get it. And the holiday season is notorious for out-of-stock items, long delays. It's only been made worse by COVID. So, Dave, What is going on in the holiday season? What's the vibe out there?
Oh, this year's crazy, John. This year's a big one. From what I hear, it's going to be since 1999. It's going to have 20 years of growth. We're going to be at 7 to 9% growth. If you can believe
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's a lot of pent-up demand, they say, especially for certain goods. Apparel, luxury, jewelry are all strong. And of course, like you just mentioned, there's going to be a lot of shortages, unfortunately. They're already predicting that there might be inventory, but it's not going to make it to the shelves in time. I'm sure everybody's seen the news on that. And I just read the other day, I think a fun anecdote was that the Home Depot, they sold out of their early release of Halloween decorations long before they even planned, which was
like already in the season before.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not even Halloween yet. It just is an indicator that there's a huge appetite out there for these kind of things, and they expect Christmas decorations to be even more. People are just pent up. I mean, I think they're just tired of sitting around, and they want to get out and they want to shop and they want to decorate their houses again and kind of get back to some normalcy.
Yeah, I was reading that during COVID. Some of the reasons why there was such an increase in e-commerce sales was because of the people had more time to shop.
Yeah.
People also had some additional finances from not going out as much, not participating in the world, and also some of the government subsidies.
Some of the stimulus, right?
Yeah. And then now we're seeing that regular demand of normal life is coming back with it.
Yeah, but we're going to get some of that heartache too. Remember when the shelves were empty and you couldn't get toilet paper?
Yeah.
It's going to be some of that stuff coming back. We're supposed to deliver, and now you go to the website and it just doesn't even give you an answer. It just says not even out for delivery, and yet it should have been here a week ago. So let's face it, companies got to find a way to get around that frustration, right, John? I mean, that's going to be a disappointing experience, and they're going to remember that, and they might permanently lose customers over this issue. So it's going to hurt a lot of retailers. They need to get ahead of it.
Yeah, and I think that's that pairs right into kind of what we're going to talk about today, which is how can you kind of get ahead of that and turn that lack of inventory that you have, or even the unpredictable wait times, into sales opportunities. There's two main topics: the out of stock notifications, which a lot of people have probably heard of. And then offering a related product that daisy chains off of a out of stock message. So the basic out of stock notification is, a customer signs up directly on your site. It says there's a little button that says this product's out of stock. Get on the wait list. Get notified when it comes back in stock. Something like that. And then they type in their information, and then they should automatically get, an email when that stock comes back. And then
Really?
the other one, this is kind of I think it's one of my favorite that a lot of people aren't doing, is offering them a related uh, product notification, which is, hey, you signed up to get this product notification when it comes back in stock, but in the meantime, while you wait, here's a really great alternative.
Mm.
And Dave, you can talk about this. A lot of customers
Hmm.
will have the diverse product line, and they can offer an additional product that is similar to another one.
That's right. I mean, well, let's talk about too. There's some retailers still to this day. I mean, I was just searching. I'm not even searching for holiday. I was doing some stuff around the house here and looking for some product, and I found a bunch of out of stock. There was no back in stock notification feature, and then I've also run into many where I click on the link from Google and the item doesn't exist. It's a 404, or they took the item down. So, which I
Oh,
think
right.
they're two huge no nos. I think in this, if you want to lessen frustration, um, one is, I mean, first of all, taking it down, right? That's just bad business because now the customer is going to keep searching and get more and more frustrated, and you
Yeah,
might
it's
you
also
might
too
pay.
SEO. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
SEO, right?
just ripping the link down, be like, oh, it's not available anymore. Sorry.
We had a customer who did that. I remember they were still paying Google for the ads. It was like, do
Oh,
you realize
right.
you're
Yeah.
paying people to go there to a 404 page? I was like, ouch, double ouch.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, that was horrible. When they realized that, they felt foolish. So that alone would be the first thing. Don't take an item down. I mean, and second of all, try to do something. And you're right, John. So if you have a product, we usually encourage is picking. If you have a couple products in different sizes or something, try to offer the other one. I think your idea with the related product is outstanding, and you need to kind of to get rid of the frustration. You want to say, yeah, I know we don't have this, but we have that. And it's a lot better than just saying, nope, don't have it, go away. And that's the part I think of the frustration that the customers are going to remember. They'll at least like you for recommending something, even if they say, well, it wasn't what I wanted. And also, I don't know about you, but I've often bought something. I mean, I'll confess to this. I'm not going to say which family member, but I've bought products that I couldn't get the real one in time, but I bought once knowing they would return it and they could buy the real one that they wanted in January.
I've never done that,
You've never
but
done that? Oh, come on.
that
That's just the greatest. It's like I
that
got
could be
tired of
its own
looking.
feature of a system. Buy this product and have them return it.
Right. It was like, oh, I tried. I thought I got the right one, but knowing I just couldn't find. Like they wanted a red. I remember the red iPhones or something like that. I remember that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But well, I got the pink one. Oh, didn't you say pink? That kind of thing.
Shoot.
Shoot. But so related products are really important, and I think you got to hit this head on. You got to look at your inventory, and basically you got to come up with a plan. That's really. It doesn't matter what your plan is. You've got to come up with one, and there are a lot of out of stock. Some of them are plugins, some are extensions. Depends on the shopping cart. But there's a slew of them out there. Some good and some bad.
Yeah, the
Um,
list is getting longer now, and after COVID,
yeah, they got
it
more.
got even longer of
That's true.
tons of features that don't do much of anything that all do the same thing.
Right. Well, I mean, the first benefit is they allow you to keep the product on the website, right? I mean,
Right.
that kind of
Yeah.
helps. So some cases they're helping, but they're not probably doing a good job. And I've heard some complaints with some of the ones that people using them is they were hard to manage too, right? Now I got all these people who want something. What do I do? And you know, some of them are just better than others. Some of them will really help you, you know, make that sale, and some of them are just going to help you lessen the frustration, I suppose.
Yeah, and Nicole and I have done tons of research on different ones out there.
And Nicole, could you tell us a little bit about how you guys developed this out of stock module for Emptive? What was
Yeah,
the catalyst?
The inspiration.
What was the
our
inspiration? Yeah.
inspiration. So we definitely had a lot of requests from our customers that they didn't just want to have an out of stock message on their product page. On a lot of
Mm.
the product pages, you just have like in red, it's like out of stock, right? There's nothing you do on the product. So they wanted us to research a waitlist plugin. So when we did that, like we found a few. There really wasn't that many out there. Maybe like this was maybe a few years ago. And so when we installed it, then they wanted us to customize it. It was like change the button message from out of stock to whatever, join the wait list. Or they wanted us to add an opt-in consent saying, by putting in your email, you'll get emails from us. Or they wanted us to hide the out of stock button on the shop page because they didn't want people to see products right away that were out of stock.
Oh, right,
Mm.
right. Like that's from the
Or,
category view, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Or
Wow.
they wanted us to have like a smart throttling where so all the emails wouldn't go out right away and then go crash the servers because that would happen a lot. Like
I remember hearing about that.
yep,
Yeah,
like they would all go out at the same time.
I remember that.
Everybody would rush to the website and
Yeah.
then the server would crash or people it would all sell out right away and then people would just still be having their emails coming in and they would go check out but the product would be out of stock like
Yeah, by the time they got there, it was like
yeah.
empty. Yeah.
And then they wanted to add like SMS or text to it too. Not just to have emails. And really, all the plugins that we saw, none of them did all that. Or they wanted to have the Google Analytics with it. Or
Right.
they
Yeah.
might have wanted to see like have an Excel sheet, download something and see like what their most popular product was.
Oh,
So
It
right.
really,
Like
wasn't
almost
one
like
customer, right? It was a
yeah.
bunch of customers.
Yeah, a bunch of customers. They might want to see like what is the top five products that are the most wanted because then
yeah.
they could be like, oh, okay, well, why don't we restock these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 first before we do the other ones because those ones are the most popular.
Yeah, and we ended up taking that even a step further
Right.
because a lot of them like they use these old school inventory systems and they want like an Excel spreadsheet, like like
Yep.
of a CSV dump of it.
Yep.
But
Mm,
we took it one step further, and with the integration with the analytics, we show a lot of that data in like really cool graphs, and it's pretty, it's easy on the eyes, it's also good information. But yeah,
Right.
some of those people still wanted that. That's
Right.
kind of how we
Or
ended.
I think something else too, where it would be like the variations too, right? Which is like, if we had like pair of gloves and small, medium, large, and one size was like in stock, a lot of those plugins wouldn't allow you to have the button on just one variation. It wasn't set up like
It
that.
just like wouldn't show anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
and this
mean
all started
after
pre-COVID, right? This is all before.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
hearing about
so
that. Yeah.
it was hard to find all of
All
that
the
in
features in one
one
place.
right all in one plugin because then we'd have to have like I don't know a few different plugins just try to make that work and we all know the more plugins you add to your website
Oh,
is not a good idea
yeah.
you know
Or rip it
that's why
all out and then put another plugin in just because
right
they wanted SMS and one plugin didn't do SMS and one did. And
Okay.
then we were like, oh,
right
okay, we start all over again. And it just became expensive and frustrating.
right and then also too a lot of these plugins you would have to like you can't just really do it all yourself you have to like go find somebody who knows how to customize all these little things too like all the extra, like the button. You have to find somebody to like change that button. So yeah, that's why really
That makes sense.
we thought of this, to create something that could be really usable and really user friendly.
But I think some of the ones that I've seen too, you have 100 products that go back in stock, and they send out 1,000 emails. So now you have 900 pissed off customers. So there
Yeah.
are there's a lot of features. I mean, we can get into them in here in a little bit, but with our plugin in mind, it's not a plugin. It's a that's the whole difference, right? It's not.
Right.
It's built as an offshoot. You could talk a little bit about that. It's a SaaS system, so it kind of keeps the programming off the website.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it does other cool marketing things as well. It's not just for out of stock, but maybe you could
Yeah.
elaborate some of the features
Yeah. I
you look
think
for.
some of the cool things about, Emptive is that, we, like you said, we pulled all the programming off of the site,
Hmm.
um, that the store, the server that the store is running on.
Right. Yeah.
And
Logic.
that frees up a lot of space
Yeah.
for things like, when you're sending thousands of messages out, those are just task, and it can slow down the
Oh,
site
yeah. Right at the
significantly.
holiday season when you need this site to run its
Right.
fastest, you're crushing it.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
And unless your hosting provider is set up for that, and I mean, we know some of these hosting providers are like
Yeah, a lot
they're
of them
not
are.
shared, they are shared, they are, they aren't. Like,
Right.
okay, is it shared or is it not? And like, what's happening? Like, why am I getting, why is my speed being cut back?
Well, we
But
know customers who just send newsletters and it slows down their site, right? I mean, can you imagine all the other things
right.
that are running on? I mean, yeah. So, I mean,
Well, a lot of times, I think the biggest kickback, obviously, from the newsletter is when it's
the
all that
traffic.
traffic.
Right. Yeah.
So you have all that influx of traffic at once, and then
That's what I
kind
mean.
of
The
creates
holiday
that
season is just traffic
problem.
heavy, right? So you don't want to slow your
Yeah.
site down.
So we built into our system a smart throttling feature. We kind of like looked at all, like Nicole and I had gone through all these different plugins out there that we thought would work, and they kind of were missing features. And one of the main ones we thought was the related product notification, like we talked about already, and then now the smart throttling, which is pretty cool because it kind of sits there and analyzes, and it sends the message at like the most optimal time. And so
Mm.
as your inventory levels change, if there's 5,000 people on your list, let's say you only get 1,000 of your inventory in, it's not going to send out all 5,000. Like a lot of these systems, it's like, bye, it dumps your list of 5,000, and it's like,
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
5,000 people come right back to your site at that moment, get a slow site, and then
Right.
find out you don't have that much inventory. That
A
was
slow site, and they
yeah,
get a back in stock.
double
Their
whammy.
notification comes back up that they have to sign back up for the notification.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they
So
love
it kind of like creates this loop.
that.
So we kind of built it where it's sort of smart, and it'll throttle out a certain number of notifications over a certain amount of
Sweet.
time, also analyzing the amount of inventory. So it's kind of like a flow, and then it will continue to send at a staggering pace until your inventory goes out or the list is empty. And there are some customizations where you can tweak that.
Very
And
cool.
then another big thing is the direct integration to send SMS messages and email messages. And I think that that's something that Nicole and I found a lot of them didn't do both. And if
Mm.
they did do both, it was sort of this convoluted process of like you have to find a sender, now you have to hook up a phone number, now you have to like manage the transactional SMS, and it just sort of like kept adding layers. And so with our system, the customer can choose. You as the store owner can choose too if you just want to do email or just
Oh, you
SMS.
can do either or. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Or the customer can pick, and they can type whichever they want inside the box. It says enter your email or SMS or phone number, and it will then the system picks it up. It's smart. It dumps it into the right list, and will send the right notification when the time comes. Um,
Well,
it's
that's
also
good.
smart too, where emails include images and SMS we don't. And there's a couple of reasons why we don't include the image in SMS right now. Uh, Reduces the risk of being flagged as spam. Significantly cheaper for our customer because the MMS multimedia messages with that send over as a text message are more expensive. So we found the ROI it's better right now until MMS is more popular to only do text.
Well, let's talk about that because I'm from the customer side. I mean, not the technical point, but I know that a couple of customers had incredibly high ROI rates for email. I would have expected that for text. I mean, let's be honest,
Yep.
people will open it more, but the email rates were very high. Not only did they come back, one of them had 10% uh, month over month. I mean, it wasn't just 1 month, and it wasn't a holiday, just on the out of stock items, right when they came back in.
Yep.
I thought I don't remember. I honestly don't, but I remember the meeting. What was the percent we had? It was
Oh, which time? So yeah.
was it
So
July,
I
I think.
think
Yeah, I think it was the July meeting. We were
some of the highest for the related product notifications, especially for SMS, could be upwards. Into the 20%.
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, the related were okay. So let me just break that down.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
there was the emails that went out just on the out of stock. and those were actually open at what 80% or some crazy number like
Oh
that.
yeah, the open rate is even higher. I mean I'm
Well, then
talking
the
the 20% was
conversion,
the conversion
right?
rate. Right.
Then the conversion, and then on the kicker, if they didn't have the item, they were referred a 5% lift in just people who were being referred. Right? I remember
Right, right. Oh, so okay, so yeah, for the related product notifications, you sign up for one
right.
product and you get related another. Those,
They
yeah,
would buy that five
could
percent
be
of the time.
5%.
Right. Right.
Which is really important though when you think about of that 5%, how many are new customers?
Right.
And what we find is that oftentimes new customers will fill these out more frequently because they feel like they don't have a connection with the store and that brand already. So it's kind of like you pass a shop and you take a flyer with you because you might never see them again on your walk wherever if you're
Oh,
in
I see.
a
I
new
get the
city.
idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But with returning customers, it's still high, but it's new customers is significantly higher,
Well,
which
that's
is
what they
important.
want is the new customer too, right? You wouldn't want,
Right.
especially if they just landed on your site, it's out of stock, they're gone, they're never coming back. You know what I mean? So you want them to, be engaged and come back and or recommend something else because maybe they didn't really care if it was red and you have a blue one, right? Or
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I imagine in their case they had lots of other alternatives. Sometimes you don't have an alternative, and I get that, but if you have something like it, I mean, you can sell the item that has been sitting there. I know, like some years they have models, right?
Yeah.
Last year's model and this year's model, and if you can't get this year's, well, you could still sell out the ones that never sell. Well, now's the chance to sell them with the referring that product.
And some product lines it works better with. It doesn't
Yeah,
work for every product line,
no, no,
but for a lot, I mean, I've even had the conversation about people like, oh, I sell custom art or custom pieces. And so I think it works even better for things like that
mm,
because it's custom.
really what? Oh,
Well,
because it's
because I mean, you have an art piece that might have it's not the same piece, but you're looking for an art piece. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's a painting or a vase. If you want that style and you want that essence, and the artist is like, oh, I have something that might might fill that void, like might get that feeling that you have.
well, I see. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's not always an exact. It doesn't have to be an exact match. It can be. Uh, it can fill whatever void that customer is looking for.
I got you. But I guess it can also tell you what the consumer demand is, right? On a product that you might be out of stock, or you see that you got 500 people signed up for, you damn well better go get some more. You know what I mean? Maybe it can help give you some indications of how what you could have done if you had more, and how many you need to buy to replace it. And it could give
Definitely.
you, right, it
Even
could definitely help.
predicting, what inventory levels you'll
Right,
need
right.
by pulling up the archival data, you can even estimate how many of those you'll sell. So, you might have 1,000 on your list, but we have some pretty good data that will tell you that ROI for that product.
Yeah, why don't you touch on that? Because that's
Yeah.
another new thing. I mean, I know you worked hard on that, and a lot of these other plugins may not have that. Some may have statistics, but you guys have some pretty crazy statistics going on.
Yeah, yeah. The way we kind of pull data about each individual product, we
Sweet.
treat every variation like a campaign.
Oh wow.
And so we kind of like follow along each campaign, and then we bundle the campaign information for product variations, like T-shirts and things that have multiple sizes or colors. But you can also break it down per product variation too. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and then you can see what the conversion rate is for those individual products and those individual variations, and that's kind of where some of the predicting can happen by looking at those numbers. You can kind of have a good estimation on what's going to happen with the inventory.
Well, that might be a good segue to bring Nicole in because she deals directly with some of the actual customers and their
Yeah, yeah.
and their products. And Nicole, you still there?
I'm still here.
She's like, hello. Where's your microphone?
Hello.
Where's your microphone?
Oh yeah. Oh, hold on.
I'm jealous of her
There it is.
Here
She's
we
been
go.
waiting for it.
I'm so jealous.
I've been waiting for it. So I think when we were doing our research, to see how we could, have more better advantages to Emptive. Does it integrate with Google Analytics? I know a lot of times with plugins that we were researching, they didn't do any of that, So does Emptive do that?
Yeah. And so that's a lot of the analytics that we're kind of like talking about there. We're using Google Analytics, and we have our own analytics, and then we kind of like pull info from Google. I know Google can be the devil, but it also has great information, and so we kind of use a hybrid of that, and also some information from the user's store, because we pull all those products over via an API. So we kind of know inventory, we know products, we know when it gets updated, all that stuff, and then we mix it with the analytics.
Let's
Do we
see what else. Oh
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
what other comments did we get on our site? We got
Well, one other one I was thinking was if does it work on variation? So, say we have t-shirts, right? We have I think we kind of touched on this, but we have a small, medium, large, right? And the
Yeah.
small and medium are in stock, but like the large is out of stock. Would we get like a out of stock request button for maybe the large t-shirt?
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and it depends on the store, whether it's like a radio button or like whatever their option is. Some stores like default select a variation. Um, some stores
yeah, some
don't.
won't show one if it's out of stock, right? Yeah, so
Right, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, ours works off of whatever that variations status is. If it has like an add to cart button, um, the stock our stock notifications won't show. So if it doesn't, because of a reason of like no inventory, it'll show the wait list button. So yeah, it works well on variations.
Oh, cool.
I think another one was, can you set a minimum stock before the notifications are sent out? Which I think is some other questions people would want to know.
Oh, like a threshold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have thresholds in two places. So there's the product level where thresholds live. Well, just let me step back. So a threshold is like you have a list, let's say a list that has like, 500 people on it. And but your inventory, you get like 3 or 4 in, and you update your system still, you can set a threshold even before the auto throttling happens that it won't do anything. It won't send any messages. And I'm trying to think, the best example of this is like
Right.
you get like a couple in and you're like waiting. So you kind of save up. You want to wait till you get 10 in before you drop your list, or
Right.
I don't know, any number. And you can set them at the product level individually or globally for your store. So global wins. And then if the product has one, then it wins, and it defaults to that in the order of the hierarchy, if that makes sense. I know I rambled.
And let me think of something else. Can you change the message on the buttons? I mean, a lot of those plugins normally were very hard, and you would have to get a developer to like change it in the code to like put, change the message. And I believe with our system, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can put whatever text you want in there, up to a certain amount of characters before it'll
Right.
shrink down. And you can also, something we also added in was the ability to add
An opt-in, right?
yeah, what is it called, the opt-in consent.
Opt-in message, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Whatever that is.
the checkbox that says I opt in to receive legal jargon, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so we do have that, and you can customize the message as well and make it mandatory to check before they submit their information.
Right. Well, I think that's all the questions I could think of right now.
Yeah. I mean,
All the research, there's probably so many more. The list can go on.
Dave, you have anything?
Well, yeah, I was just one thing I think we might not touch on is the you might want to. I think it's one box, right, for both email and SMS, because I've seen some that have multiple. Right, so it's kind of clever. You could type either one into the box, and then it accepts, right? It's either or.
It's either or. Our client can decide. The shop owner can decide if they just want to do one or the other, text or email. or they can let the customer decide, and the box is one box, and you enter in either or, and it works.
Is there any so far, just from use, any ideas on when you'd want to do either or is it just more of a personal preference, or
Yeah, so I think
demographics?
it's something that some of the research on giving customers the choice of things. We have some promising stats that would suggest that when you give the option to choose in that sense between a SMS and text message, they tend to use it more. And so that's kind of that's one of the angles that we've kind of been playing around with and trying to collect the data to back that up is when they have the option to choose. Yeah.
TBD. So you're saying, I think you said both, but you mean like between email and SMS, you're finding that if given the option, they'll pick the SMS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, not just that. They'll also fill the form out more.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So if you're like, enter your email, just your email. But if it says enter your email or your phone number, you're like, oh, okay, I get to choose. Like, it's like inviting them to make a decision and not just asking them for something.
I can tell you, I'm just so tired of people asking for my email, so I can see probably.
Yeah.
We're getting burned out on that one. So, yeah.
And something I don't want to forget is that we have some pretty cool integrations with some CRMs out there. Klaviyo, Sendinblue, MailChimp, that, to brand your emails, to brand your stock messages, and also even use your sender. For some of our enterprise customers, we integrate directly with Klaviyo, so you can continue to use your own sending domain and your own branding, your own messages, and track and see your stats in Klaviyo too.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, you don't want it outside of that. That's a whole nother. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that being an important selling point. Cool.
But yeah, we can wrap it up, and we'll be back with more. Thank you, all the listeners, all the millions of listeners out there for hanging out with us, and we'll be back with more cloud-based solutions that make selling your e-commerce products a bit easier. Until next time, thanks.